You're entering the Blitz with your host, Matt Maldonado, on Madness4life News.
I can't wait to hear your laughter. No matter how much I extend my stay, no matter what words other people say, the only thing that appeals to me is seeing you again someday.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Matt Maldonado, here in FEMA Region 9, Las Vegas, Nevada, and this is The Blitz, the episode number 7. It is the 7th of September. Well, really, I'm doing this in the 8th of September because I missed Fridays, so I'm going to be doing Fridays right now. So thank you so much for joining me today on Madness4life News. Getting into other issues here from the economic collapse. $83,046 for a 3-hour hospital visit. Why are hospital bills so outrageous? The fastest way to go broke in America is to go to the hospital. These days, it seems like almost everyone has an outrageous hospital bill story to share, and I'm one of them. I have a hospital bill of like $30,000, but hey, good luck trying to pay that off. Anyway, continuing here, it is getting to the point where most people are deathly afraid to go to the hospital. All the financial progress that you have made in recent years can literally be wiped out in just a matter of hours. For example, you are about to read about an Arizona woman that was recently charged $83,046 for a 3-hour hospital visit. How in the world is anyone supposed to pay a bill like that? I have a really hard time understanding why a visit to the doctor should ever be more than a couple $100, or why a hospital stay should ever be more than a couple $1,000. Outrageous hospital bills are a really oh, and by the way, the hospital is basically a charity, so it should be almost free. But hey, that's all right. We always like to believe that it costs more than it's supposed to be. Continuing here. Outrageous hospital bills are a real pet peeve of mine, and I have not even been to the hospital in ages. What makes all of this even more fretting is that Medicare, Medicaid, and the big insurance companies are often charged less than 10% of what the rest of us are billed for the same purchases. No. Procedures, whatever. There is a reason why 41% of all working age Americans are struggling with medical debt right now. It is because our healthcare system has become a giant money-making scam. Millions of desperate Americans go into hospitals each year, assuming that they will be treated fairly, but in the end, they get stuck with incredible, outrageous bills, and in many cases, cruel debt collection techniques are employed against them if they don't pay. So, why do we have to pay so much for medical care? But in 1980, less than 10% of U.S. GDP went to healthcare. Today, about 18% of U.S. GDP goes toward healthcare. And considering the fact that over the next 20 years, the number of Americans 65 years of age or older is projected to double, that number is going to go even higher. On a per capita basis, we spend about twice as much on healthcare as anyone else in the world. In fact, if the U.S. healthcare system was a nation, it would be the sixth largest economy on the entire planet. America spent $2.47 trillion on healthcare in 2009, and it is now being projected that we will spend $4.5 trillion on healthcare in 2019. Our system is completely and totally broke, and Obamacare is going to make things far worse. We need to throw the entire system out and start over. A perfect example of why this is true is what happened when 52-year-old Marcy Edmonds went into a hospital in Arizona recently to get treated for a scorpion sting. With the help of a friend, she called poison control and was advised to go to the nearest hospital that had scorpion antivenom. Was it Colonel Regional Medical Center at the hospital? An emergency room doctor told her about the antivenom called Aniscope that could quickly reveal her symptoms. Edmonds said the physician never talked with her about the cost of the drug or treatment alternatives. Her symptoms subsided after she received 2 doses of the drug Antiscope through in 4, and she was an IV, and she was discharged from the hospital in about 3 hours. Weeks later, she received a bill for $83,046. I can't even read. From Kendall Regional Medical Center. The hospital, owned by Denty Health, charged her $39,652 per dose of Aniscope, whatever. What makes this even more shocking is the hospital in Mexico only charges $100 per dose of Aniscope. These days, many hospitals will do whatever they can get away with the hospital bills. One NBC News reporter was obviously stunned at the bill that she received after she went in for neck surgery for degenerative disc disease recently. Once I got my my bill, the grant total was a little over $66,013.40. That was for one night stay and a 4-level vision surgery. The charges included $22 for one sleeping pill, $427 for one was it disking tool, and $32,000 for 4 titanium plates and 10 screws. I brought it to Todd Hill, a fee-based patient advisor. Advocate. There we go. Advocate, who helps people with their medical bills. The screws in your posterior were billed at $600 a piece for a total of $6,000, $6,050. We've seen those in our past research for $25 or $30. He said, in this case, the markup is tremendous, he added. Considering the fact that 77% of American families are living paycheck to paycheck at least part of the time, a single hospital bill like this can be a financial death blow. If you have time, read this tragic story where one man was charged $11,000 and all he had was a case of bad indigestion. Nothing has even wrong with him. And now his family is going to have to declare bankruptcy. Often medical bills are so complex and so confusing that nobody can really understand them a lot of the times. This is probably done on purpose to keep people from understanding how badly they are being overcharged. The following is from a recent article in the New York Times. Hospital care tends to be the most confounding, and experts say the charges you see on your bill are usually completely unrelated to the cost of providing these services. At hospitals, these list prices are called the charge master file. The charges have no rhythm or reason at all. Gerald Anderson, director of the Center of Hospital Finances and Management at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Why is 30 minutes in the operating room $2,000 or not $1,500? There is obviously no basis for us setting that charge. It is not based upon the cost. It's based upon the market forces over the other than the whim of the CFO of the hospital. And those charges don't really have any connection to what hospital or medical provider will accept for payment. Either if you line up 5 patients in their beds and they all have gall bladders removed and they get the same exact medication and services. If they have insurance or if they don't have insurance, the hospital gets 5 different reimbursements. And none of it is based on cost, said Holly Wilk, a medical billing advocate in Miami Beach. The insurers Novacate a different rate. The insurers do a different rate, and if you are uninsured, underinsured, or out of network, you are asked to pay full fare. It has been estimated that hospitals in the United States overcharge their patients by about $10 billion every year. Medical bills are the number one reason why Americans file for bankruptcy. As I mentioned earlier, approximately 41% of all working age Americans are suggesting struggling with medical debt. And health insurance is not as much protection as you might think, according to a report published in the American Journal of Medicine. Of all bankruptcies caused by medical debt, approximately 75% of the time the people actually did have health insurance, and if you can't pay your bills, many hospitals will come after you ruthlessly. In fact, collection agencies sought to collect unpaid medical bills for approximately 30 million Americans during 2010 alone. If you don't cough up the cash they are demanding, you can even end up in prison, even though there's no law, but they're going to put you in prison. The following example comes from CBS News. How did breast cancer survivor Lisa Lindsay end up behind bars? She didn't pay a medical bill. Yeah, we have this attitude of like, hey, you better pay your medical bill or else. And they say, yeah, just pay it. It's like, well, it's illegal to throw people in jail. It just doesn't matter. Just pay it. That's a mafioso. That's right. We're criminals, so you better pay up. Continuing here. I can't even say it. Teaching assistant was told she didn't owe. She got a $280 medical bill in error and was told she didn't have to pay it, the Associated Press reports. But the bill was turned over to a collection agency, and eventually state troopers showed up at her home and took her to jail in handcuffs. Although the U.S. Abolished debtors' prisons in the 1830s, more than a third of U.S. states allow the police to haul people in who don't pay all manner of debts, from bills for health care services in credit card and auto loans. Hey, there's no law anymore, but hey, we're just gonna do it. We're all criminals now because the foreign banks own us. So now we're just gonna take you off the jail. We're criminals now. So just deal with it, because the next economy for the United States is just in prison, and that's gonna be the economy, just getting paid 40 cents an hour to work. Or if you're just a nice little globalist, you would just get paid your fair share. Continuing here. But why do these bills have to be so high? It is not like many doctors are getting rich these days. In fact, many of them are going broke. So what is the deal? Well, as a recent article by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts explained, there are a whole lot of people pulling profit out of the system other than just doctors these days. There are two main reasons that U.S. Medicine is so expensive. One is that profits are upon profits in addition to wages and salaries for doctors, nurses, and medical personnel. The American health care system has to provide profits for private hospitals, diagnostic centers, insurance companies, and for the accountants, attorneys, and management consultants, made necessary by the numerous legislation and regulatory commission cost. American medication is the most regulated in the world and the most criminalized. And other big factors factor in that the rest of us have to make up the difference for the patients that are not profitable. It has gone to the point where some doctors in recent kinds of practices barely make any profit on Medicare and Medicaid patients. In fact, in many cases, doctors actually lose money treating them. In an article posted on medicalcostadvocate.com has some outrageous examples of the difference between what you and I are billed and what Medicare pays out of for the exact same purchases. That's why I say that you shouldn't even get insurance. I mean, it's just so worthless. I mean, health insurance, any type of insurance, is just worthless because they won't pay a dime for any of this crap. It's just such a hassle. But hey, I'm bad. No, I'm not bad. Continuing here, a patient in Illinois was charged $20,712 for cardiac surgery. Medicare pays $675 for the same procedure. There we go. In California, a patient was charged $20,120 for a knee operation for which Medicare pays for $584, and you have to pay the rest. I mean, it's just a total giant scam. And a New Jersey patient was charged $72,000 for a spine vision procedure that Medicare covers for $1,629. So not only do we pay very high taxes to support Medicaid and Medicare, we also have to pay higher medical bills in order to make up the difference for the money that doctors and hospitals are not seeing from these patients. Unfortunately, Medicaid and Medicare are expected to grow dramatically in the years ahead. For example, it is now being projected that Obamacare will add 16 million more Americans to Medicaid. And enrollment in Medicare is projected to grow from 50.7 million today to 73.2 million in 2025. How in the world can our current system possibly handle this? And please don't tell me that Obamacare is the answer. The truth is that Obamacare is going to take everything that is wrong with our healthcare system and make it even worse. For a good summary on this, please see this article. And this article is from the end of The American Dream, 15 reasons why the Obamacare decision is a mind-blowing disaster for America. You can look that on The American Dream, the end of theamericandream.com. In the years ahead, it is going to get even harder for those that are not dependent on the government for healthcare. Approximately 10% of all employers plan to drop health care insurance coverage entirely because of Obamacare. According to one recent poll, 83% of all doctors in the United States have considered quitting the profession because of Obamacare. And we were already projected to have a severe doctor shortage in the years ahead, even before Obamacare came along. We are heading into the greatest healthcare crisis the United States has ever seen, and none of our leaders seem to have any answers. In a recent article entitled 11 Signs That the U.S. Healthcare System is Heading Straight Down the Toilet, I detailed a lot of reasons why our healthcare system is a national disgrace. If you can handle some more ranting, I encourage you to check out that article out. I am just obviously disgusted with the conditions of our healthcare system. It is demonstrated by government. It is dominated by government bureaucrats, pharmaceutical corporations, and the big health insurance companies. It is a Johnny money-making scam that seeks to drain as much money from the rest of U.S. as possible. So do you have a hospital bill horror story to share? Please feel free to share on your thoughts below. And that's the end of that one. Here's the last article for today. Are you better off? 40 statistics that will obviously shock you. And this is from like Thursday. That was basically 2 days ago. I didn't even read these. All right, continuing here. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? This is a question that comes up nearly every election. This year, the Romney campaign has even created a Twitter hashtag for it, number, are you better off? The Democrats are making lots of speeches claiming that we are better off, and the Republicans are making lots of speeches claiming that we are not. So, are most Americans actually better off than they were 4 years ago? Of course not. One recent poll found that only 20% of Americans believe that they are better off financially than they were 4 years ago. But the same thing was true 4 years ago as well. Our economy has been in decline, and the middle class has been shrinking for a very long time. The Democrats want to put all the blame on the Republicans for this, and the Republicans want to put all the blame on the Democrats for this. A recent CNN headline eventually declared the following: decline of middle class, not Obama's fault. And this is the kind of thing we are going to hear day after day until the election in November. But obviously something has gone fundamentally wrong with our economy. So who should we blame? Sadly, you hear very little on the mainstream news networks or the talk radio shows about the institutions that has the most power over our economy. The Federal Reserve has far more power over our financial system than anyone else does. But the media and both political parties tell us that the Federal Reserve is above politics and that their independence must never be questioned. Unfortunately, most Americans have gone along with that. But the truth is that the debt-based financial system that the Federal Reserve is at the core of is obviously central to our economic problems. If you do not understand this, please see this article, 10 Things That Every Americans should know about the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has done more to mess up our economy than anyone else has. So shouldn't they be held accountable? That is a very good question. Have you ever wondered why financial markets move so dramatically? Whenever the Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke gives a speech, the same thing does not happen when Barack Obama gives a speech. That is because the financial markets know who holds the real power in our financial system. But during this election season, the American people are told to put all of their attention on the red team and the blue team. We are told that the two major political parties are philosophical opposite, and that they want to take the United States is two completely different directions. The truth believers on the blue team are completely and totally convinced that Barack Obama will be able to rescue the economy and save America. The truth believers on the red team are completely and totally convinced that Mitt Romney will be able to rescue the economy and save America. Once upon a time, I was one of those political activists, and I was fully convinced that America could be turned around if we could just get enough Republicans into office. But then I noticed that nothing really seemed to change no matter who was in power. I became disillusioned as I realized that Republicans were doing things pretty much the exact same way that the Democrats were doing them when they got into power. Yes, there are some minor differences between the two parties on taxes and regulations. If we elected one guy over the other, our economy might decline at a slightly different pace. But in the end, both political parties are taking us to the exact same place. Down the toilet. I wish that wasn't true, but we need to be honest with ourselves. Both parties fully support the Federal Reserve. Both parties support the nomination of Ben Bernanke in a second term as the head of the Federal Reserve. Both parties endlessly push the job-killing free trade agenda of the global elite. Both parties see nothing wrong with running obviously numerous trade deficits with the rest of the world. Both parties support TARP. Both parties support the economic stimulus packages. Both parties support the auto industry bailouts. Both parties have run up massive amounts of federal debt when in power. Both parties have greatly expanded the size of the federal government when in power. Both parties are full of control freaks, and both parties have added more layers of ridiculous regulations to our already overburdened society when in power. Neither party supports getting rid of the income tax or the IRS. Neither party has any intention of doing anything to prevent the coming crisis that could bring down the entire global financial system. Both parties are obviously showered with cash from the big Wall Street banks. Both parties think that the TSA is doing a great job. Both parties support the NDAA and the renewal of the Patriot Act. Both parties have greatly expanded the unconstitutional surveillance of American citizens by government agencies. Both parties are extremely soft on legal immigration. Excuse me. Both parties have treated military veterans horribly. Both parties are obviously packed with corrupt politicians that are living the high life at your expense. Neither party plans to balance the federal budget in 2013 if their candidate wins the election. Neither party has a plan that will fix our deeply broken healthcare system. Neither party has any plans to shut down the Federal Reserve. In fact, both parties see obviously nothing wrong with our current system. Of course, this list could go on indefinitely, but hopefully you get the point. But I can understand those that are deeply frustrated with Barack Obama and that desperately want to avoid other 4 years of his policies. However, the Republican Party foolishly chose to nominate a Republican candidate that was most like Barack Obama to run against him. That was a numerous mistake. No matter what the talk radio shows are telling you, the truth is that this country will continue on pretty much the same path no matter who wins the election. Duh. I know that statement is going to make a lot of people angry, but it is the sad reality of what we are facing. Even if you focus on just the economy, the truth is that Mitt Romney's 5-point plan is almost exactly the same thing that the Barack Obama has been saying. Many Americans believe that since Mitt Romney made lots of money on Wall Street conducting alleged payouts of vulnerable corporations, that he understands how to fix our economy. Sadly, that is not the truth. I have listened to many Romney speeches about the economy, and I keep waiting for some pearls of wisdom, but I have found that he is just as clueless about the economy as our other recent president have been. Look, I know that there are a lot of people out there that have good hearts that want to have someone that they can believe in. They want to believe that things can get better. They want to have hope. I don't blame them for that. I just think that it is time to pull our heads out of the sand and realize that things are not going to get any better. A political a political chauffeur, whatever, on a white horse is not going to come riding in to save the day. So by this point in this article, a whole lot of Democrats and a whole lot of Republicans are very upset with me. But I am not against you. There is way too much hate in our society today. Even if we disagree with someone else, we can still love them. I just think that it is very important that we understand that there is going to be a solution to our problems on a national level, and that our economy is headed for collapse no matter who gets elected. Sorry about that. The total amount of debt in the United States has risen from less than $2 trillion to nearly $55 trillion over the past 40 years. And there is nothing that Barack Obama or Mitt Romney can do to prevent the correction that is coming. So are Americans better off than they were 4 years ago? Of course not, but things will soon get a whole lot worse no matter how the election turns out. The following are 40 statistics that will obviously shock you. Number 1. During the time Barack Obama has been in the White House, veteran households income has fallen by 7.3%. Number 2. Back in 2007, 19.2% of all American families had a net worth of 0 or less than 0. By 2010, that figure had soared to 32.5%. Number 3, according to the Federal Reserve, the median net worth of American families dropped from $126,400 in 2007 to $77,300 in 2010. Number 4, according to the Pew Research Center, 61% of all Americans were middle income back in 1971. Today, only 51% of all Americans are middle income. Number 5, back in 1970, middle-income Americans brought home 62% of all income in the United States in 2010. Middle-income Americans only brought home 45% of all income. Number 6, the unemployment rate in the United States has been above 8% for 42 straight months. The number 7, the percentage of working age Americans with a job has been below 59% for 35 months in a row. Number 8, in June, the number of Americans added to the food stamp roll was nearly 3 times larger than the number of jobs added to the U.S. economy. Number 9, approximately 53% of all U.S. college graduates under the age of 25 were either unemployed or underemployed last year. Number 10, since Barack Obama entered the White House, the number of long-term unemployed Americans has risen from 2.7 million to 5.2 million dollars. Well, not dollars, it's only... You get the point. Number 11. Today, the average duration of unemployment in the United States is about 3 times as long as it was back in the year 2000. Number 12. According to a report that has just been released by the National Employment Law Project, 58% of the jobs that have been created since the end of the recession have been low-paying jobs. Number 13, according to the Center for Economic and Policy Research, only 24.6% of all of the jobs in the United States are good jobs. Number 14. In 2010, the number of jobs created at new businesses in the United States was less than half of what it was back in the year 2000. The year 2000. Number 15. The average pay for self-employment Americans fell by $3,721 between 2006 and 2010. Number 16. According to U.S. Representative Betty Sutton, America has lost an average of 15 manufacturing faculties a day over the last 10 years. During 2010, it got even worse. That year, an average of 23 manufacturing places a day shut down in the United States. Number 17. At this point, 1 out of every 4 American workers has a job that pays $10 an hour or less. Number 18. While Barack Obama has been a president, the velocity of money has plunged to a post-World War II low. Number 19. According to one recent survey, 85% of middle-class Americans say that it is harder to maintain a middle-class standard of living today compared with 10 years ago. Number 20. Electricity bills in the United States have risen faster than the overall rate of inflation for 5 years in a row. Number 21. There are now 20.2 million Americans that spend more than half of their incomes on housing. That represents a 46% increase from 2001. Number 22. Over the past decade, health insurance premiums have risen 3 times faster than wages have in the United States. Number 23. Health insurance costs have risen about 23% since Barack Obama became president. Number 24. As I wrote about yesterday, back in 1980, less than 10% of U.S. GDP was spent on health care, but now about 18% of U.S. GDP goes toward health care. Number 25. In a previous article, I noted that 62% of all middle-class Americans say that they have had a reduced household spending over the past year. Number 26. Family budgets in America are being stretched to the breaking point today. 77% of all Americans live paycheck to paycheck at least a part of the time. Number 27. While Barack Obama has been president, U.S. home values have fallen about another 11%. Number 28. More than 3 times as many new homes were sold in the United States in 2005 as well will be sold in 2012. Number 29. The United States was once ranked number 1 in the world in GDP per capita. Today we have split to number 11. Number 30. Since Barack Obama became president, the number of Americans living in poverty has risen by 6.4 million. Number 31. The number of Americans on food stamps has grown from about 17 million in the year 2000 to 31.9 million when Barack Obama entered the White House to 46.7 million today. Number 32. Approximately 1/4 of all U.S. children are enrolled in the food stamp program at this point. Number 33. It is being projected that half of all American children will be on food stamps at least once before they turn 18 years of age. Number 34. It is estimated that child homelessness in the United States has risen by 33% since 2007. Number 35. Back in 1965, only 1 out of every 50 Americans was on Medicaid. Today, approximately 1 out of every 6 Americans is on Medicaid. Number 36. As I wrote about the other day, it is being projected that Obamacare will add 16 million more Americans to the Medicaid rolls. Number 37. It is being projected that the number of Americans on Medicare will grow from 50.7 million in 2012 to 73.2 million in 2025. Number 38. The number of Americans receiving federal housing assistance increased by a whopping 42% between 2006 and 2010. Number 39. At this point, well over 100 million Americans are enrolled in at least one welfare program run by the federal government. Number 40. Amazingly, more than half of all Americans are now at least partly financial dependent on the government. So, are you better off than you used to be, or worse off? Please feel free to post a comment with your thoughts below. So, and that is it for today. Now, I'm going to say that if you want to subscribe to this channel, you can hit that subscribe button, or you can also follow me on the other links below, as well as also follow Close to Modern, as Close to Modern is part of Day. You can follow them in the links below. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me, and have a good day, and God bless America.